Hooday, Bengal fans. He is Mon, Eric. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. We are here tonight to do our way too early 53-man roster, a show that Mon and I very much enjoy doing. A show that, yes, last year I missed on a couple, Eric, but for the most part, I'm batting about, I don't know, I'd say 800 for the most part. Uh,
800. I don't know.
that's
Don't make me
over.
go
That's
check the stats.
overtime. That's overtime. But no, it's going to be a fun night. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Hooday to everybody out there that is coming on and listening to the show. As we go through this roster, comment in the comment section. Let us know if you agree with us, if you disagree, especially if you disagree with Mon. Let him know. He appreciates that. Mon, how you doing, buddy? I see you're ready for some hockey tonight.
Good. I'm really good. Excited. I love Stanley Cup hockey. Playoff hockey is honestly right up with football when it comes to intensity for me. I'm excited about the game tonight. I'm excited about the show. We've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks. It's been really busy and hectic. I'm glad we finally got to it. It's going to be a good debate. There's a lot of fluid movement for me because when it comes to the offensive side, there's a lot of potential movement. I'll talk about it during the selections, but it's going to be an interesting summer, interesting training camp because there's going to be some really tough decisions for this coaching staff, and I can't wait for it all to evolve.
No, there's definitely going to be some tough ones. Eric, how you doing, bud? You good? Well, that
Well,
was a question. My bad.
hey, I mean, you have to be good no matter what happens in life. Not happy with the Wolves situation. We do talk about how Anthony Edwards is a lot like Joe Burrow and how he doesn't get calls and how he's saving the franchise, drafted in 2020. And you know what? At back-to-back Western Conference Finals, and he didn't make the finals either year, but 2 years in a row. I'm just hoping he doesn't repeat what Joe Burrow did. So next year we got to take that leap and move on. I do have to give a shout out here. So Jake and I are season ticket members. Mon goes up to a lot of games. So my first year as a season ticket holder was 2022. I hadn't been to a game since 2016 before then. So you meet people and you get phone numbers and you get Facebook and since you get all these different things to connect with people. So our first game, met a nice kid and his girlfriend and moved on. And then about 3 or 4 months later, we were at another game and we ran into him again. And so you exchange numbers and you kind of put these in your back pocket for when you're up in Cincinnati hanging out. We got a text today from him saying, "Oh my God, I didn't realize you were on my favorite podcast." My favorite Bengals podcast. So I got to give a shout out to Cameron in Cincinnati, Cameron K in Cincinnati. Turns out we're his favorite Bengals podcast. So hey, obviously he's got great taste. So shout out to Cameron. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and hope to see you again this year at one of the many games we'll be at. So that was pretty cool.
Actually, you say that, and it's funny, Mon. You're muted. It's funny you say that because I meant to tell you guys this. My wife, who is a principal at a local middle school here in town, she was talking with somebody, and then somebody else was there, and they were like, "Oh, you're a Bengals fan," and she's like, "Yeah, my husband does a podcast," and they were like, the couple was like, well, "Which one?" And she said the Bengals Pulse, and they're like, "Oh my God, we watch that every week." So I don't know who they are, but shout out to you.
Did they say, "I'm sorry, Angela. I'm so
If you know
sorry"?
Angela Owens, shout out to you. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. We love all of you guys more than you will ever know. And we do this so we can engage with you guys, all of the great Bengal fans that are out there around the world. In Australia, England, I mean, the Bengal Pulse is everywhere. It is
We're
everywhere.
coming. We're coming for you. You know what? When we finally get that international game, the Pulse has to travel, and we have to hand out our business cards. Go ahead, Mon.
Well, I'm a lot of you guys know I'm a fireman, obviously, but I teach at a local community college. I'm an EMT and paramedic instructor. So when I meet the new students, I ask them, "Hey, what's your plans after class, and who your favorite football team is?" And of course, some share who their teams are. Some say, "I don't like football." I'm like, "You like the Bengals." So I'm doing God's work. I'm I got at least 10 yesterday to say they like the Bengals. So, hey, if I get 10, 15 new Bengal fans in Florida, it's going to happen. And it's fun. And those are great stories, though. I mean, Jake, you got to find out who they are. I mean,
I will. I'll
Yeah.
find out. I'll find out. Yeah, it
and
was
that
very cool. But
Mon, that reminds me, as running the flag football league, driving a Bengals car, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I do with all these little, 5, 6, 7 year olds, very impressionable children. I'm like, you know what? I picked this team when I was 6, so you need to get to do the same. I point over, I'm like, look, you're wearing a Bengals jersey. That's the coolest car. I don't care if your dad's a Jags fan. You like the Bengals now.
I want to know. I want to know if we have any Edmonton listeners. Do we have any fans in Edmonton? If we do, please let us know.
Yeah.
That would make Mon's day. All right, all right, boys.
New
Let's
day
get
would
into the
bring
show
out a new region.
because this show could be, knowing Mon and I, it could be an hour and 45 minutes long if we don't. Yes, Eric.
Yeah, it's not going to be because we're going to play at what, 8 o'clock, 8:15.
8:15, the puck drops. So we got to get done
This
by
this
8:15. We
show
can
will
do
be
it.
done as fast as possible. Before we get to that, I
Listen,
want to.
Eric, if we don't, this is what it's going to look like. This is my impression of Mon. If the puck drops while we're still on air, this is my impression of Mon. Here we go. Hang on, I got to get focused here. My impression of Mon.
I do.
And we'll say, what the puck, Mon? What the puck?
Listen, I have a TV right here. The Reds are on.
Actually,
Sports Center, and I sometimes you guys are talking. I just have to look.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here's my impression.
We know you're checked out. Listen, I got a TV right here too, but this is the most important. So, speaking of shout outs, we have to find out. We know that it's happening. We don't know who it is, but somebody in the Bengals organization watches the Bengals Pulse. We got breaking news that the Ring of Honor is going to be the Jets game in October. But then shortly after that, we got a tweet from Jay Morrison saying changes are coming to the Ring of Honor. After this, the Bengals will review and explore ways to reshape aspects of the Ring of Honor to ensure it remains relevant and sustainable now and into the future. We made this appeal to the Bengals on a Ring of Honor show. Change it up, allow us to vote on more, allow us to vote on less. What do you guys think that the Bengals, who in the organization is listening to the Pulse, and why is Eric their favorite person?
I'm sure their social media team is listening to the Pulse. I'm afraid when I go to the game this year, the Jaguar game, that I might need an escort to walk into the stadium because I could get freaking taken out. Joke. No, I think, listen, I think they monitor all the podcasts. I really do. I really think they do. And, we've been pretty vocal about a backlog of players. Guys, ESPN 1530, Mo Egger had a 3-minute diatribe on it. That's not, I don't mean that in a negative way. He did a really great job, a great take on the Bengals Ring of Honor and how a lot of these guys we talk about, Trumpy, Parrish, they should have been in the 80s, 90s. Yeah. And, listen, I'm not banging on the Bengals. I'm glad they did it, long overdue, but they should have done it sooner. And you're having these problems.
I think what they're referring to is, I don't know this, but I think what they're referring to is keeping it relevant means they got to get a new era of football of Bengal players in this Ring of Honor. But because they did this the wrong way, there's a backlog of the older players that deserve to be in the Ring of Honor. So my thought, let me just tell you what I'm thinking real quick, and we'll get on to the 53. But I think what they're going to do, this is a hot take, is they are going to make it next year to where maybe there is 4 entries and it will be 2 from the backlog, and it'll be 2 the Geno Atkins and AJ Greens of the world. So that's what my hot take is. I think that's what's going to happen. I think it is going to go to 4 instead of 2. I think it's going to be 2 from the backlog and 2 from the new log, because again, a lot of Mon and I are, well, Mon's very old and I'm old, so it's very old and old. But we've been Bengal fans for 40 plus years, so we know the backlog of players. That's who we watched growing up. But a lot of the new Bengal fans don't know those players. So they are. I think they do feel like they need to make it a little bit more relevant with the AJ Grains and the Geno Atkins of the world, and go from there, Mon.
I think that's great, and I hope they do address it. But like he mentioned on 1530 Mo Egger, some teams don't even have fans voting, and I'm glad the Bengals incorporate that. That's a good thing. It should just be an element of it, though. Hey, the fan vote is 50%, and then team administrators the other 50. Maybe they should go 370s players, 80s, 90s, and just clear up this backlog.
Yeah.
But like I just want people to understand. I know like this comes from a song I like a lot. I mean, if you forget the past, the future makes no sense. So we can't forget our Bengal past. We really can't, because there's some really good players there. And I'll say this, and I know it comes across as negative. Guys like Lamar Parrish and Ken Anderson, these guys were hurt on the Hall of Fame level because of the Bengals' lack of Ring of Honor. I think if these guys would have been put in the 80s or early 90s, it might have helped their chances in Canton. But hey, they got it done now, and hopefully they fix it for next year.
Yeah, and in reality, everybody that's on that list should be in. So the surefire way to fix it is just put them all in, and then rolling forward, we can vote every year. But the season ticket holders, those are the ones that vote. We vote on players every year. They got to get 60% of the vote to get in, something like that. All those guys on the list should be in the Ring of Honor. Just put them in, and then it becomes special because you're enshrining people once every 3 or 4 years, not somebody every year. Why make Dave Lapham wait till 2029 to get in? Why make Bob Trumpy wait till these guys aren't going to be around, and if they are, they're not going to be able to enjoy it. Let's get them in now. It just makes sense. Before we move on, just shout out to Bob, 55 years fan, so he's got us all beat. I mean, I'd say I've been a fan for 55 years because I was a fan before I was here, but I can't claim it. But shout out, Bob. With that, let's move on to our predictions. Whoa, we lost Mon. Wow, you
Sorry.
good, Mon?
I was muted and I took myself out and I'm back on. Sorry, my bad.
He just wanted to get to the other side of the screen. All right, with that, let's move on to the.
He's always got to make an intro. It's always got to be an intro.
My dog was going crazy and I clicked the wrong button. Okay, so
All good. Let's get to our predictions.
Let's rock and roll.
like so.
A lot of this is chalk. Some of it's not. Like I said last year, we're not going to rehash what happened last year, but let's go into this year. Let's go into who do we think is going to make this 53-man roster and who's not. Oh, sorry.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, lost that.
Don't be throwing up your browser.
Oh, we're good, bro. I got no Sydney Sweeney on there like Jake does.
That's the other
Sorry.
computer. That's the other computer.
Yeah, that's the one that Mon has. The bandwidth is all bogged down.
I still don't know who that is. I don't know anything about the blonde named Sydney Sweeney. I don't know anything.
You know nothing. You know nothing.
I did see that Jake they're selling soap that's infused with her bath water now. So there you go, Jake.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm in.
What is happening to this world, man?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, for some reason this isn't pulling up. So give me a second here.
I think that's Indoor from Return of the Jedi. Why do you have Indoor on your screensaver?
Eric, that's my screensaver on my computer. Exact same one. Our wallpaper.
Oh, Lord. Go ahead. Talk amongst yourselves. Let me go fix
How about we do this? Let's do the quarterbacks first. Yeah, let's do the quarterbacks first because
that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
If you and I are not, if we are not agreeing on the quarterbacks, it could be a long night. Go ahead, Mon. You go first. Talk about the quarterback room and who's going to be.
It's an obvious no-brainer. Jake Browning is going to be our backup, and Joe Burrow, who I think is the best quarterback in football. His stats last year, he was just phenomenal with a very elite skill set of receivers, but limited offensive line, limited defensively. What he put up last year with that roster was astronomical. He should have gotten more consideration for MVP. People wonder why I'm a little salty these last few weeks because I still think about that. I watch his highlights once a week. He was so good, and we wasted what an epic year we wasted.
Yes.
because of some really shoddy offseason roster management. It makes me mad, man, but he's such a good player. Those are going to be our 2 starting quarterbacks. Jake, I'm going to give you a second, but let me give you a hypothetical. If a team offered us 6 first-round draft picks, would you take them for Joe Burrow?
No. Listen, you know, Mon, every team in the league right now is trying to get their Joe Burrow. Everyone is trying to get their Joe Burrow. So absolutely not. I honestly, well, first of all, Mon, I think he's the best player in the NFL. And I know people can be like, oh, that's a homer. It's not a homer. People from the outside, they look at Joe Burrow and they say, well, this guy's got T. Higgins and this guy's got Jamar Chase. But those guys they're not on the field all the time together, right? Both of them have had issues in the past of getting healthy and getting on the field. So it's not like Joe Burrow has had this crazy roster around him. I saw a post the other day. Joe Burrow has like 5. There's 5 Pro Bowlers on his roster, and the Bills and the Ravens both have like 20 plus. So if you want to talk about guys that have a loaded roster, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, those guys have dudes around them. Joe Burrow, yes, he has elite receivers. But after that, there's not a lot of an elite, besides Trey Hendrickson, there's not any players that you would say are elite. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they each have like 10 or 11 all-pros on their team. Again, those guys have not accomplished what Joe Burrow has accomplished yet. So, to me, it's a no-brainer who the best player in football is, who the best quarterback in football is. Joe Burrow, with the worst defense in the NFL last year and a mediocre offensive line, somehow willed this team to 9 wins and really had the best season of any quarterback in the league. And it's disgusting that he did not get more love for that. But, yes, Joe Burrow, Jake Browning, those are going to be the 2 quarterbacks. I think the Jake Browning thing, because backup quarterbacks are looked at very highly in the NFL. Again, you see teams that are trying to get that backup quarterback. The Browns drafted 12 quarterbacks this year. Everybody is trying to find 2 quarterbacks to have on that roster. It's almost a must now in the NFL. Those backup guys, Mon, are getting $4 and $5 million a year to be backups. And we're lucky that we have Jake Browning. We got him on a very good deal still, and we know that he can win football games if needed. But Joe Burrow, I'm going to tell you right now, Joe Burrow will win the MVP this year. This dude is on a whole nother level from anybody else at the quarterback.
I just want a quick shout out to Houday. I'm looking for Sticks tickets because once I go see Sticks, Trey Hendrickson's going to sign his contract. So we're working on that, buddy.
Let's bring Sticks to you if that's the case. Yeah. Listen, maybe Jake and I have to sing some Sticks if that's what it takes.
Oh, listen, we're sailing away. Don't get me started. Don't get me started on Sticks. I will rock some Sticks.
Just don't play Renegade because that's a Steelers song.
Fair.
All right, here we go. So we got the quarterbacks out of the way. And
let's go to receivers. Here we go. Pretty much chalk, guys. For those guys listening, everybody listening at home, Jake and Mon have the exact same 5 receivers on our roster: Chase, Higgins, Joshua, Burton, and Charlie Jones. So I'm going to put it to you guys because this is chalk.
Eric, real quick, make sure you let everybody know too. Mon and I did not know who the other one picked. This is the first time I'm seeing who Mon picked.
They don't often agree on anything. So I want to know, what about Isaiah Williams? He was in there and kind of stole that kick return and punt return job at the end of the year. I think that Charlie Jones isn't a lock to make this roster because of him. What are your guys' thoughts on the bubble guys?
To me, Charlie Jones, for me, the bubble receiver is Kendrick Pryor. I think that is the bubble receiver for this Bengals roster. I think the Bengals like Kendrick Pryor a lot. To me, though, you look at Jermaine Burton and you look at Charlie Jones, and you're looking at two guys that did not have a ton of production last year. Jermaine Burton had the off the field issues. Charlie Jones had the injury issues. But those two guys are going to be our returners. Jermaine Burton and Charlie Jones will be our returners this year. And again, really the other receiver that we're going to talk about here in a minute, Mike Gesicki. That's really the Bengals' 4 starting receivers with Yoshi. So hopefully Jermaine Burton's got his head together, and we see a different side of him, because I think he could be a very explosive part of this offense.
Yeah, I obviously the top 2, we know who they are. I love the reports about Jermaine Burton. Looks really focused, keeping fingers crossed there. He's a late first round talent, very fast receiver. Hopefully things continue upward for him. Yoshi Voss continues to develop. Played really well. Remember his draft profile. He's a pretty athletic guy. He may not come across as being that because he's taller, but Yoshi Voss is developing into a solid 3rd wide receiver. Charlie Jones, to me, he's had some special teams moments, but he's been inactive so much. He could easily be the odd man out. Kendrick Pryor is a good candidate. I could see another potential wide receiver on another roster right now. The Bengals normally go 6 wide receivers. Yeah. I have them at 5 because one of the positions we're going to talk about in a few minutes, that person is listed as a tight end. He's really a receiver. But I'm happy with that 5 right there. If Charlie Jones stays healthy, he could develop into an interesting player, but it hasn't happened his first 2 years.
Definitely some tips, but I love Yoshi's progression, right? Yoshi has become a guy that I think Joe Burrow feels very comfortable with. And I think Yoshi really is the key to all of this, because, like when the Bengals made those Super Bowl runs with Tyler Boyd, that 3rd receiver is extremely important to this offense, especially with the Bengals.
And Yoshi ran a 4.43 40. So remember that. He's a fast guy himself.
Yeah. Go football club.
Yeah, I just think you can't discount Isaiah Williams. He came in there, averaged 33.2 yards on a kick return, had a long of 43 last year. Charlie Jones is main claim to fame as being a kick returner or a punt returner. I don't think that you can count him out. We also have some good comments in here about the UDFAs. We've got a few of them out there.
The Moore kid from Duke is getting some praise. Those UDFAs, though, they have a steep hill to climb to make this roster at the receiver. That doesn't mean they won't get put on the reserve roster, but they're going to have a tough time. We're talking about making the starting roster, and with the way the Bengals love those tight ends, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, it's going to be hard for a guy like Moore to jump Jermaine Burton and Charlie Jones, but we'll see.
For sure. Well, we're going to let's just jump to the tight end then, since we're talking about it. Again, very, very similar. Mike Gesicki, Drew Sample, Cam Grandy, you guys all agree on.
Tanner Hudson.
And then we have a Tanner disconnect. Mon believes Tanner McLaughlin is going to make the roster. Jake believes Tanner Hudson's going to make the roster. Now, we will preface that Eric All Jr. is on the IR. He's obviously on the team, but he is not gonna be part of it this year. So it's a Tanner off. Mon, go first. Why is McLaughlin making this team over Hudson?
Tanner Hudson has flashed and made some plays. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think the Bengals are going to go with their draft pick. Guys, a draft analyst that I really respect tremendously, Daniel Jeremiah. He's the head guy at NFL Network. He's their number 1 analyst. He comes up with his top 100. He had McLaughlin 58 in his top 100 list. 58. The guy, he was injured his senior year, basically redshirted last year. I think the guy has a future. I really do. We can't wash our hands of some of these players after 1 year. And I think, if Daniel Jeremiah thinks that highly of him, it doesn't guarantee anything. But I think he's a younger player, and I think he's going to be the 4th guy. Grandy, Sample, Gesicki. There's a kid. I'm not just saying this because I'm a West Virginia homer, but Cole Taylor from West Virginia is a Mike Gesicki, built a little taller than him, the same style of player. He'll try to block. He's not, that's not his strength, but the kid can get open. He was probably one of the most consistent skill players at WVU, and he made plays against big, Texas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. He played well against big competition, Penn State. I would not be surprised if he could potentially sneak on this roster. But I'm happy if those four. Drew Sample's another offensive tackle playing tight end.
Yeah.
He's a great blocker.
Yeah.
Grandy, they really like him a lot, man. They do.
They do.
They like that guy. And Eric All, I pray that kid can come back because he looked like our best draft pick last year. He really did.
I agree, Mon. Eric All did look like our best draft pick, and I think when you look at, first of all, my two bubble guys, Mon, Kendrick Pryor and Tanner McLaughlin were my two bubble guys, because I still think Tanner McLaughlin can make this roster even with the four that I have. I think the Bengals could keep 5 tight ends. I really do believe that, because again, Mike Gesicki is that flex player. Tanner Hudson, first of all, let me say this about Drew Sample, because everybody gives him crap. But Drew Sample last year was as solid as a lot of guys on the football team. He really was. He had a solid year last year. I'm not saying he's some kind of explosive weapon, but for what the Bengals asked for him to do, pass pro, keeping him in the box, every once in a while throwing him something in the flats. The guy makes plays. I mean, he does. We make fun of him. I know he's a second-round pick, so we expect more from him. But Drew Sample, give the guy a little bit of credit. I mean, he's not some terrible player the Bengals are running out there. Tanner Hudson, the Bengals love him, Mon. They just do. I know how you feel about him, but the Bengals, they love this guy, and I know obviously it didn't help that Patriots game that he fumbled, but I think Tanner Hudson makes this roster, and I'm with you, Mon. Cam Grandy, I just don't get that one, but the Bengals love this guy. They love him. I have not seen anything to make me think that this guy is, a high level NFL player. He's almost like a I don't even know how to explain it. He's like an H-back kind of playing the tight end position, but Cam Grandy makes it, and I'm with you. I think Tanner McLaughlin. Listen, the guy broke all of Rob Gronkowski's records at Arizona. He's a good football player, obviously. It's going to be very interesting to see how this tight end room shakes out. But I really do believe, Mom, they could keep 5 tight ends. I think that's very much a possibility.
It could happen. Could happen.
I think that they do. I think you're going to get both Tanners. My biggest thing with Tanner McLaughlin is Cam Grandy was a UDFA, and he beat out Tanner McLaughlin last year. We didn't see much of Tanner, and we saw a lot of Cam Grandy. I do want to, before we move on, Bob had a comment earlier about early in the season when Eric All was playing. After he went out, the offense wasn't the same, and it was noticeable because with Eric All in there, they were running things that they couldn't run the rest of the year because he was such a good blocker, loved to block, and was a weapon. They did have to shift the offense with him out of there, so we don't have him this year. Hopefully, one of these guys can step into a similar type of role. And who's it going to be? We haven't seen. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think Grandy is a poor man's Eric All. Maybe not as fluid as an athlete, but he is a hell of a blocker. And I think he's athletic enough to give you a few catches here and there. I did like what I saw from the guy. I did like that. He flashed a little bit last year. I think McLaughlin is going to be a solid player. I love his highlights at Arizona. And for, like I said, Daniel Jeremiah to say what he said, I think that he's worth giving a chance.
It's gonna be an interesting battle, right, Mom? It's gonna be an interesting battle to see
Yeah.
If the Bengals keep 4 or 5, and who makes it and who doesn't. So
Yep.
I really like this room, though. I think it's a solid room. I really do. I think either way, if you go by Mons or mine, I think this is a solid room. It's not one of the best tight end rooms in the league, but it's definitely solid.
Listen, Cam Grandy wears 85, and we know that 85 is always open. It's a long storied history, so I'm going to put my vote on him sticking to that role. With that, let's move on to running back. Mon has, of course, Chase Brown, Todd Brooks, Samaje Perine, and running back TBD. Jake has Chase Brown, Samaje Perine, and Todd Brooks. And I'll preface that I don't think that these are in order of who's the starter, who's not. Obviously, Chase Brown's the starter, but you guys can speak to that. Let's go to Mon first because he's got us keeping 4 running backs, but it looks like one of them isn't on the team yet. Go ahead, Mon. Tell us who that is.
It's another fluid situation. They could go 5 tight ends. It could go 6 wide receivers. Remember, I mean, before I added another player, I only had 52 players on a 53-man roster because to me, I really think that the Bengals are going to add another running back. I do not expect our Cincinnati Bengals to turn into some run-heavy team, but I think they will focus on the run more than they have the last few years. Instead of 63-37 run-pass ratio, could be 60-40. And that may not seem like a lot, but that's going to be more carries for our guys. Listen, I love Chase Brown. Chase Brown is a star, but guys, he cannot run the ball 25 times a game. You're going to see him fumbling. He's not. I mean, he has to have limited carries. I don't want him wore down, and that's where Taj Brooks and Perine come in. This coaching staff has to find a good balance to get all these guys involved. And I'll say it one more time. If we can just run the ball a little bit more efficiently. Guys, last year, Chase Brown had 15, 20, 25-yard sprints, and it looked phenomenal. But he had about 6 other 1-yard carries, 2-yard carries. All right? I need a little bit more consistency. Okay? I want this team to run when they need to run. When they have a 10, 14-point lead late in the third quarter, I want them to be able to run the ball, and they haven't been. It's not all on them. Sometimes it's that interior offensive line, and let's face it, Zach Taylor don't like to run. They have to evolve as an offense, and they have to be able to run the ball when they get those leads. It shortens the game. It keeps that struggling defense on the bench, all right, and it keeps Lamar Jackson on the bench, all right? So that's what I want. I want us to be a little better. And those are my
How
guys.
many weeks? How many weeks until week 1? Amon says it one more time. I think he's going to say it 2 more times every week until the season starts. Run the damn ball. Run it more.
Yeah.
With that, we do have a super chat here from Fuzzy, and I'm going to toss that to Jake's. Thanks, Fuzzy, for the super chat. Fuzzy Balls asks, I would rather have 4 running backs and 4 tight ends than 3 running backs and 5 tight ends. So we're going to throw this to you, Jake, because you're only carrying 3 running backs on your roster. Can defend that to Fuzzy?
Well, I would agree. I would agree here with Fuzzy that I would rather have 4 and 4 than 3 and 5. So I agree with you, Fuzzy. Thanks again for the super chat. But I agree with Fuzzy here. I would rather have 4 and 4. However, I have 3 running backs and 4 tight ends. I don't have 3 and 5. But I do like the 4 and 4 if that is the way you're going to go. I do want to say too, because Jennifer brings up, Zach Moss, and I do think it's interesting that the Bengals restructure Zach Moss because you basically go out and get Samaje Perine, who is a better version of Zach Moss, as far as I'm concerned. So don't really understand the Zach Moss thing, why the Bengals approached it the way they did. But Zach Moss, I just don't see him making this roster. If the Bengals go out and get a 4th running back, I agree with Mon. I think he is on someone else's roster. The other guy that we have a couple other odd men out here, but it is going to be interesting to see what the Bengals do at this position. Chase Brown, to me, you guys know how I feel about him. I think he was one of the MVPs, the unheralded MVPs of this past year. The guy had what did he finish with? 1,300 total yards, 1,400 total yards, something like that. I agree with Mon. I don't think he is a workhorse type of a player. However, I do think that he is a guy that you can give the ball 20 times a game, whether it's throwing the football or handing it to him 20, 25 times a game. I think you can do that with him. You just can't run him between the tackles 25 times a game. And I think that's where I agree with Mon. Taj Brooks, to me, right now, I said it after the draft, he's my favorite draft pick this year. I think you guys are going to love Taj Brooks. The way this guy runs the ball, he's violent. He's pad level. He understands run fits. He catches the ball in the backfield. He blocks. This guy was an absolute steal for the Bengals and could end up being one of those guys where, we're talking about him at the end of this upcoming season, that he was a big contributor when it mattered the most, right? In December, in January, in the AFC North. He is an AFC North running back. So Chase, Samaje, Taj, they make this roster. There's no doubt about it. But I do think if we go like a fourth running back, like Mon said, I think it's going to be very interesting to see if it's a guy on this roster or if it is a guy that is not on this roster right now. So interesting to see what happens with this running back room if they go four.
And one big thing, that fourth running back is often a special teams guy as well. So we didn't see that a lot of Zach Moss last year. I still think that the restructure has more to do with not giving him an injury settlement, giving him that guaranteed money so that when they move on, they don't have to go down that route. With that, let's move on to offensive line. Now it's pretty chalk here as well, both keeping 10 people or 10 offensive linemen. Obviously, OBJ, Dylan Fairchild, Ted Karras, Cody Ford, Amarius Mims, Jalen Rivers, Lucas Patrick, Devin Cochran, Matt Lee, and Cordell Volson. So, what do you guys want to talk here? What's going on with Jackson Kirkland? You got no love for Jackson Kirkland?
No.
I don't have anything against Jackson Kirkland. I know he flashed last year. I'm just going on what I saw. Cody Ford and Devin Cochran last year were thrown in late in the season, and Cochran, I didn't know much about him. I knew he's on the roster. Didn't really get a big chance. He had been hurt. Listen, the guy wasn't pretty. It was a little ugly, but he got the job done. If Devin Cochran had to come in and play 2-3 games at tackle, I think we could get through with it, and same thing with Cody Ford. Cody Ford flashed. Do I want him to be a starter? No, but I think these are good swing guys. Guys can come in and give you 2 games, 3 games, and you need players like that on the roster. Jackson Kirkland could have a great camp. He did last year before he was injured. I think he tore his bicep. And, I remember him at Washington, highly thought of draft prospect his sophomore, junior year, people really pumping him up. Then he was injured his senior year or his last year there. And he sort of slid, became an undrafted free agent. He could sneak onto the roster, but I'm happy with our tackles. A little concerned about our guards. When I sent you this list, I looked at PFF on here, and these PFF rankings. I know PFF isn't for everybody, but the PFF rankings for our offensive line last year, flat out scary, absolutely scary. Mims, his number were great on PFF, but he flashed. We know he's going to be a good player. He's going to get a lot better. Orlando Brown, before his injury, was playing at a Pro Bowl level. Lucas Patrick didn't play for the Bengals last year, but his PFF rankings are 10 times better than Kappa and Volson. So by default, if he plays like he did last year PFF-wise, he's going to be that spot's going to be a lot better. I don't know. I still think he's a fringe starter. Jake, you said it a few weeks ago. I'll say it again. It's up to Scott Peters. Scott Peters has to get a little bit more from every one of those players on that 10 that I have. He needs to get 5, 10, 15% better play from each player. That's the only way, things are going to improve for the Bengals. I don't have a magic wand to get some elite guard there. I don't have it. Hopefully Fairchild turns into that, but it's all on Scott Peters to get 5, 10, 15, 20% better play from each player on that on that roster.
Bring the pain, Mon. Bring the pain.
Jake,
Yeah.
let me get your thoughts on this. I'm not sure if this is the bubble guy you had, but let's talk about Seth McLaughlin, the top center in college
Yes.
football last year. Yes, he's coming off an injury, but how
So
hard is it for him to beat out Matt Lee on this list? Matt Lee,
so I have
we didn't see much of.
yeah, I have Seth McLaughlin. I have him starting on pup. I think he starts on pup, and I think he uh, when it's all said and done is going to be on this roster. I think it's going to be, again, it's going to be interesting how the Bengals maneuver this roster around. But to me, McLaughlin is going to be on this roster. Who my fringe player is, I have as Devin Cochran right now. But again, I could very well see Cordell Volson maybe being that guy. An interior guy that they are looking at if Seth comes off that pup. So again, I find it. Amon, I'm guessing these are your starting five, right? The ones you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I have Brown, Fairchild, Karras, Ford. No, I don't
Yes.
have Cody Ford starting. I am going to go with Lucas Patrick as a starter
You
at
think
right guard.
Lucas Patrick starts? I look at this. I look at this roster, and I will tell you, to me, this room has gotten better. Again, I know it's still a prove it thing, but I think there's better players in this room than last year, and I think we have a better coach than we did last year. I'm hoping I'm right, but I do think the Bengals improved at this position, coaching and player wise. Again, I don't know if I'm trying to be really optimistic here, but when I look at Cordell Volson coming off the bench, to me that makes me feel a lot better than Cordell Volson starting. Right, so those bench guys. Jalen Rivers is a guy that's turning heads. I like Jalen Rivers a lot. Lucas Patrick, again, if he's a guy that's coming off the bench, we are in much better shape on the offensive line than we have been the last couple years. So I am optimistically excited about this room and the new coach, and hopefully they do what he says they're going to do and bring the pain. But Mon, I want to say this real quick. I think we've only got one guy different so far, and that's not like us. I don't know what's going on
It's
here.
really odd.
Yeah, I don't know why Mon and I are on the same page. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mom.
No.
It's unusual.
Honestly, I think the offense is pretty. I'll say it's pretty cut and dry. Actually, I really do. I think we know who the guys are and who they're going to be depending on.
For sure.
Seth McLaughlin, Mon, do you think he's a guy that could push this roster when he comes off pup?
McLaughlin, the tight end. Oh no, are you talking about
the center?
Center.
McLaughlin.
You're right. You're talking about the center. I think he's redshirted this year. I don't think he plays at all.
You don't think he plays at all?
No, I do not. And I honestly believe he could potentially be our starter in 2026. He has one hell of a college resume. I am worried about his snapping of the ball because at Alabama it was atrocious. He had massive issues at Alabama with getting the ball to the quarterback. But you don't win the Remington Award, and he's playing against big boys. At Alabama, he's playing against Georgia, Clemson, all these elite teams. He goes to Ohio State, he's playing against Michigan, Penn State. I mean, he's playing big-time college football. I think he's our starter if he stays healthy. And Achilles is a serious injury, but redshirt him, don't rush him, and let him come in 2026, potentially be our starter.
Best center in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we move on, so I think Mon, I'll go to you for this. Like usually, how many we keep. If we were to keep 9, who on this list is gone, and how likely is the Bengals only keep 9?
It could be 9. Could be. I mean, if they have to go heavy somewhere, you never know. Injuries could pop up in training camp. Last year we had lost a lot of defensive tackles. And if they have to go light somewhere to bring in somebody else, um, Cochran could be the odd man out. He really could be. I just talked him up, but he could be the guy, or Matt Lee. But Matt Lee, I know they're high on. He got to play some snaps. But with Lucas Patrick playing center also, it's going to be between Cochran and Lee, but I think Cochran would be the odd man out.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Moving on. So we normally we go to defensive line here, but it looks like that slide got deleted. So I'm going to have to go work that in the background when we can. So let's jump to defensive backs here. And another, I don't know, you guys taking the same medications because
What in the hell, Mon?
everything is the same.
I
Cam
thought
Taylor
this was going
Britt,
to be
Dax
different.
Hill, DJ Turner, Josh Newton, DJ Ivy, Marco Wilson, Geno Stone, Jordan Battle, Dejon Anthony, and Tyson Anderson.
With the Bengals added nobody in free agency, or they didn't really draft anybody either to challenge to change that back end. They didn't.
Yeah,
And
they
I
did.
feel really comfortable. Look at that. Look at all those young players. That shows you how much draft capital in the last 3 drafts. Cam Taylor Britt, Dax Hill, DJ Turner, Josh Newton, Ivy. Wilson wasn't a Bengal draft pick.
Battle.
Those first 5 were all draft picks in the last 3 years. Anderson, Anthony, and Battle, they're all drafted in the last 3 drafts. I mean, that's impressive. And we were talking with Zim and Ace. We text so much during the day. Zim brought up a great point. This is a sneaky good room. Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of production due to injuries, but this could develop into a team strength. It really could.
I agree. Listen, this is a room. Well, let me say, when I say I agree, I mean the corners. I'm still very nervous about the safety room, but I think this corner room could be outstanding. Again, we have to take in consideration that last year this room was very beat up, pretty much the whole year. I don't think we ran out a starting group the entire year last year of guys that were projected to be starters on this roster. So for me, again, I'm with you, Mon. I think this is the room, right? This DB room. This is where we talk about letting the young guys play. Let's let the young guys play. I will say this. I still believe the Bengals are going to go out and get a safety. And I think it's going to be a vet. And I think it's going to bounce one of these guys. To me, it would be Marco Wilson. He is my fringe player in this room. But I think the Bengals are still going to go out and get a safety. And I think that safety is going to bump Marco Wilson off of this list. But when you talk about CTB and Dax Hill and DJ Turner and Josh Newton, I love those 4 guys, and I'm a big Jordan Battle fan. So we'll see what happens, but interesting, right? That Geno Stone is the vet. He is the vet in this room. Hopefully Mr. Stone has a much better year than last year.
Yeah, safety concerns me because nothing against Battle and Stone personally. I think Battle's going to have a great career in the NFL. He's not the most athletic man. Neither is Stone. I mean, Stone is a 4.7 guy, and his tackling is a little suspect. I am worried about the safety position because you need some athleticism back there. You really do. I think Dejon Anthony, I think Tyson Anderson has that athleticism. I was listening to a pod. I listened to all of them, and I forget who mentioned it, and I'm sorry if I don't give them credit. They did bring up a good point. You start having some problems back there. Don't be surprised. Dax Hill is a jack of all trades. He could pop back there and play some safety for you also. So the one thing about Marco Wilson, I know he's bounced around. He's been on a couple teams. His athletic profile, you could make an argument he's the most athletic defensive back on the Bengals roster. If they could somehow piece it together, I'm not saying he's going to be some elite corner, but if they could get him just to play 10, 15% better than he has, he could be one hell of a player for us. And, it's up to these Bengal coaches. It's up to Al Golden. Al Golden, his staff. I said that about Scott Peters. I'll say it about Golden. He has to be one of the team MVPs this year.
Yeah, and again, we know that the back end of this defense, the guys that we're looking at on this screen right now, the back end of this defense is only going to be as successful as the front seven allows it to be. We've got to get more production from the front seven, especially the linebacker room, which we'll get to in a minute. But those guys are good enough to carry the back end of this defense if we get more production from the front seven on defense.
Wow, it is raining here, buddy. It is
Yeah, we just
raining.
got some thunder here.
Holy
So
cow.
dropped it off the screen here because it's not going to have time to get the defensive line up there and running. So let's talk about the defensive line here for a minute while I get everything else back up. Defensive line, Mon has Trey Hendrickson, Cam Sample, Joseph Osai, Shamar Stewart, Cedric Johnson, Miles Murphy, Chris Jenkins, McKinley Jackson, BJ Hill, and TJ Slayton. For Jake, Jake has, hold on, Joseph Osai, BJ Hill, Slayton, Trey, Shamar Stewart, McKinley Jackson, Chris Jenkins, Miles Murphy, Sample, Cedric Johnson, and here's the outlier, Eric Gregory.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
How many did I have? Did I have 9? Did I have 9?
You had to have had 9 because I had 10.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can start. I mean, I love the Eric Gregory, Jake. Good job. I mean, I think he's the one undrafted free agent that can definitely make the team.
I do too.
He's definitely going to be on the practice squad if he's not picked up by somebody else. I just have the Bengals at 9 right now. And some people don't think Cam Sample is a shoo-in to make the team. Cam Sample is going to make the team. But the Bengals were hurt tremendously with his injury last year.
Oh,
guys, this may be a hot take, but I think a Cam Sample coming in, he could have flipped one of these really crazy games with a play here and there. He really could have. He could have been one more victory because Cam Sample was a good player. And I think hopefully he comes back. He's just got cleared this week to play. I like him. I've always liked his game. But our starters are going to be Trey Hendrickson. I think Stewart's going to start on the other side. And it's going to be B.J. Hill. It's going to be Slayton. But then our 2 young guys last year, I expect a big jump from Jenkins and McKinley Jackson. To me, really flashed last year. I'm really high on those 2. And, don't forget, there's another undrafted free agent we need to think about, and that's Howard Cross from Notre Dame.
Yes.
He really flashed. 2 years ago, he was really had great tape, was considered a 3rd, 4th round pick, and so, I mean, Al Golden knows him. Maybe he could get him to play really hardcore there. Slayton, I do like that. The Bengals did not have a big body last year. They had 310-pound defensive tackles. They got a 340-pound guy to team up with McKinley Jackson. Osai did flash last year, but I need to see a little bit more. He finished, I think, with maybe 5 sacks, 6 sacks. Cedric Johnson could be a special player. I mean, listen, his athletic profile is through the roof. I'm happy with a lot of these young guys. I think Al Golden is going to put them out there to make plays. And I think the sky's the limit for this defensive line. I really do. We just got to keep Trey there, have Trey happy because he's going to be the glue. He's going to be that leader to that unit.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously have the Bengals keeping 10, and that 10th is Eric Gregory. I'm with you. I think Seth McLaughlin is going to when he comes off PUP, I think he is going to make this roster. So I have two UDFAs that are going to make this roster. The other one is Eric Gregory. I like his play. I think the Bengals, I think he could end up being that guy that the Bengals have been looking for. He is a mass, great hands, great feet, comes off the ball well, understands the run game. I really like Eric Gregory a lot. I think Howard Cross is going to. I think he'll be on. That reserve squad. I do. I think he'll be. If somebody doesn't take him off of it, but I like Eric Gregory and the way he plays. To me, the name on this list that really jumps off more than anybody is Joseph Asai, right? Joseph Asai was a guy that we saw last year really really play well at the end of the year. We need more consistency from Joseph Asai. I think Joseph Osai is a guy that could start on this defensive line. I think right now he brings a little bit more to the table than what the other two young edge rushers do. The Bengals thought very highly of him enough to bring him back. So I think Joseph Osai very well could start in this room. But I agree with you. I think Seth Johnson's a guy that also could end up being a great edge rusher in this league. But I'm telling you, watch Eric Gregory. I really got a feeling that this is a kid that's going to make this roster and is going to be an impact player year one for the Cincinnati Bengals.
So we got a super chat. Amon's getting nervous. It's getting close to 8 here, so let's get rolling.
No, we're
Fuzzy
good.
Balls has a super chat. Could Miles Murphy win a starting job? He has another comment in there saying that he really thinks that Lou kind of did him dirty last year, so the last couple of years. Mon, go ahead.
I'm high on Miles Murphy. Miles Murphy doesn't have the sexy stats last year, but when he did come in and play those last 6 or 7 games, he was productive. A lot of pressures. I said it before. Pressures are a stat. Okay. And he came in and, it made it easier for Trey. I think on one of the sacks that Cedric Johnson got, it was because of Miles Murphy's pressure. So Miles Murphy had a productive second half of the season last year. I'm still high on him. And he looks like he's dialed in because, buddy, he looks good in minicamp from what I've seen working out. The guy's taking it serious. Listen, we have so many young players on this roster that have so much potential. It is up to Al Golden to get those guys to blossom because this defense, I'm telling you, by week 7, week 8, has the potential to be a top 16, 17 unit. That would be huge for the Cincinnati Bengals. I really feel that. I'm not being a homer here. I think they're going to get better every week, and I can see them being a top 15, 16, 17 defense. That would be huge.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know if I feel comfortable enough saying that. I think maybe as the season progresses, but the Bengals went out and used another high pick on an edge rusher, and I really believe it's because of the lack of production from Miles Murphy. I mean, I know people are like, well, maybe because of the Trey Hendrickson situation, the Bengals go out and get Shamar Stewart. I don't know if that's the case. I think the Bengals went and got Shamar Stewart because they are looking for more production from Miles Murphy. So do I think he's talented enough? Yes. Do I think he could win a starting job? I don't know, guys. I don't know what this Bengals coaching staff, where they're at with Miles Murphy, what they feel about him, what they think his potential is. Obviously, they used a very high pick to go out and get another edge rusher, and there's a reason why. So we'll see.
Can I add something to that real quick? I don't think he was set up to succeed by the last defensive coordinator.
I don't either. I want to
criticize Lou here. I think unfairly he's been criticized a lot. I get the production. It's easy too. The lack of production of his unit, defensive unit. It's easy to criticize him, and it's warranted. This is the most blatant criticism he deserves. You don't trot out Sam Hubbard on one leg and have Miles Murphy sit on the bench.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. And you know what? Maybe that was somebody higher than him telling him to do that. I don't know. It could be somebody above him to say you got to play the $10 million guy. But Sam Hubbard wasn't the same player the last 2 years. Are you trying to tell me Miles Murphy wouldn't be more productive? Guys, I'll say it right now, that's a hot take. If Miles Murphy played another 200 snaps and you rest the guy with the bad leg, there might be a couple more turnovers, a couple more impact plays that might flip a game. So I think that's one of the reasons Lou is gone.
Yeah. So. And that's one of the reasons that Al is here, because he's so reliant. He's so up for playing the younger guys. Just at one note for all of our fans, we're getting really, really bad storms here in Florida. So if for some reason we're suddenly gone, it's most likely a lightning strike took out the power. Just want to get that
Not
out there in
dead.
case something
Not
happens.
dead.
Not
Suddenly gone.
dead, but if the feed cuts off, then either the Bengals PR crew got to us or we had a lightning strike. And uh, with that, we got a couple to get to. Let's see if we can share this screen again to get to the linebackers. Let's
Oh, I
see.
got to
Let's
see who
try it.
Jake picked at linebacker. I got to see this.
Of course, it's not going to show again.
Okay. I know who I picked.
No, I'll get it. We'll get it. It'll work here. I promise.
I
Jake,
do.
did you have Logan Wilson? Did you have Logan Wilson?
listen. I said it in our text chat today. I'm gonna say it again. Losing Logan Wilson was so detrimental to this defense. And again, I know it wasn't the entire season. Logan Wilson played some of those games that we should have won, but having Logan Wilson is absolutely huge. Having him back and healthy is going to be huge for this defense.
All right, there we go.
So, Mon has Logan Wilson, Oren Burks, Demetrius Knight, Barrett Carter, Shaka Hayward, Muma Jameta. Jake carries 5, Logan Wilson, Oren Burks, Demetrius Knight, Barrett Carter, and Shaka Hayward. So no
Hey,
Muma
you got it
for
real quick.
Jake.
You got to put up Huday's comment. That's really funny. That's a good one, Huday. I like that. That's funny as hell. He's talking
Yeah,
about
I mean, if Duke
Duke
has the power, Duke, with great power comes great responsibility. You leave these little podcasts alone.
Oh, yes, this linebacker room, it looks completely different. Again, Al Golden, we know how much he loves the linebacker position. He obviously coached it here in 21 and 22 when our linebackers were at an elite level. I mean, Mon, you and I talked on this podcast, the very first year of this podcast, that we had one of the top 3 linebacking corps in the NFL. And at the time we did, Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, at that time, were playing as good as any other group of linebackers in the NFL. Hell, if we win that Super Bowl in 21, Logan Wilson might be the MVP. He was that good. He was a difference maker on the field, and having him back is going to be huge. Logan Wilson, Oren Burks, who they got from the Eagles, a guy that had an incredible postseason for the Eagles, was part of that outstanding defensive performance throughout the playoffs. The Bengals took a chance on him. We'll see what happens with him. He obviously, to me, is coming in and replacing Akeem Davis-Gaither. Demetrius Knight, Barrett Carter, I love these 2 guys. I am absolutely head over heels. I think these 2 guys are going to be difference makers right away on day 1 for this Bengals defense. And I like Shaka Hayward. I don't like using the word practice squad. I think you guys can see that I'm trying to avoid using the word practice squad. I like to call it the reserve team or the reserve squad because I hate practice squad. But Meta is a guy that I think is a fringe player for this defense. I think I had him, Eric, as one of those fringe bubble guys. Meta, I think, is a guy, Mon, that if the Bengals go 9 at D-line, it's going to be because of Meta. And again, it could happen, Bengal fans. Listen, we're used to seeing 2 linebackers on the field, but Al Golden is a linebacker guy. The defense will revolve around this group. And there's a very good chance Mon is correct here that the Bengals keep 6 instead of 5. But I love this room. It's young. It's athletic. It's faster than it has been in a long time. And we got our guy back in Logan Wilson, who is the quarterback on the field for this defense. I'm very excited about this room.
Yeah, I draft weekend I was a little perplexed because they drafted 2 linebackers with only 6 picks in this draft. I talked about it the week after. I just couldn't figure out why the Cincinnati Bengals used 40% of their draft on linebackers. Well, Charlie Goldsmith, who covers the Bengals and the Reds, has his chalkboard that's on Substack. And he had a great article, very lengthy, on the Bengals defense and Al Golden. And he mentioned it, talking to Al Golden and other staff members with the Bengals. The key to his defense is the linebackers. It's
Yeah.
the engine to the old Al Golden defense. It is the engine. It's the core, and he needs better linebacker play. That's why I went one extra linebacker, six. They normally keep five. It might not be a Meta. It could be somebody else on another roster right now, but they're going to go heavy there. And I think those top three, top four guys are going to play a lot of football. Hayward last year played a lot the last 6 or 7 games. I love him. He comes good NFL bloodlines. That Hayward family, are amazing athletes.
Yes.
I tell you, when he did make plays last year, when he made some tackles, he delivered those tackles. And that's what I love seeing because the people he hit flew backwards. And I just love that physicality. And I think he's a young player. Remember, he was a priority undrafted free agent. They gave him a big signing bonus. So, the Bengals thought very highly of him. And that's why he picked the Bengals because they gave him quite a bit of money. So I think they go six just because Al Golden needs his linebackers. And reading that article, I feel a lot better about this draft now because he realized for this to work in Cincinnati, I need better play at linebackers, and that's why he got Knight and Carter, and I expect big things from them.
And Meta is a true Mike backer, right? He is a true Mike backer, a tackle guy.
Yes.
I want to say this too, is we heard from early on from Al Golden that he is going to use Burks and Knight and Carter in the pass rush game. He is going to use those guys as guys coming off the edge, maybe guys that are going to be blitzing those A gaps and bringing interior pressure. So Knight, Carter, Burks, do not be surprised if those guys are on the field a lot, especially on third down, where he is going to be blitzing the crap out of them. He said that from day one. This is not a hot take. This is coming straight from Al Golden. But the reason why he went out and drafted Knight and Carter and went out and got Burks and free agent is because those guys are great at rushing the passer. They are great off-ball backers that can rush the passer. And I'm telling you now, guys, you are going to see those guys on the field a lot this year. And it's going to be on those third down passing downs where he is going to be bringing them from the inside and the outside of this defense.
Jake, we're going to lose him on. The game's clearly on already. So let's get to the last group here. As much like the quarterbacks, you guys have all chalk. Special teams, you have us with Evan Money Mac or Food Stamp Mac, as they called him last year. Ryan Raycow and Cal Adamitis.
Nice.
Listen, there's a year, sometimes it happens, but he's going to get back to being Money Mac. He's going to get back to cashing those checks this year. I firmly believe it. So you guys let's go rolling with the same crew as last year. So I want you to talk about William Wagner and why he's not going to take Cal Adamitis' job because he's the top long snapper in college and we snapped him up. Go ahead, Mon.
It could happen. I just don't think they want to mess with it. It's going to be year 3
It's
for
already
him.
broken.
Yeah, I think year 3. I don't know if they want to bring in somebody else because I think that's part of the reason McPherson struggled. I just want to say something about our punter, Ray Cal. The Bengals have the best of Chase, best of Higgins, best of Hendrickson, best of Burrow plays on their website. They have the best of Ray Cal. Okay. I watched those. I watched 2 minutes of punts.
He's a weapon.
The guy had 70, 80, 90-yard punts.
He's a weapon.
And, I mean, right there that the guy has a future when his team has the best of Ryan Raycow. I mean, it was comical. But what a find because that guy – talk about flip and field position. I mean, that's a weapon. I mean, 10, 15, those are hidden yards.
Especially when your defense isn't good, right?
Yes.
When your defense isn't good. That's
absolutely.
That's an important piece to it. And I think I put on there, Eric, if I'm not mistaken, I think when I text you this group, I put on there, don't be surprised if William Wagner makes this team over Cal Adamitis. I think I put him on there as a surprise.
You did. Yeah. Huh? You did, and I'm not going to say that I'm going to go on a limb. I'm not going to say that it's going to be surprised. I say this is William Wagner's job to lose. We have seen Evan McPherson's stats go down since a previous long snapper went down in that Steelers game. It's clearly going to be William Wagner's job to lose in my mind. The one thing I will say on Ryan Raycow, how great is it that the Chiefs cut him and we picked him up, and now he's going to be our putter for 15 years to come. I just love that.
Hey, you gotta put Olivia's up. I know we gotta go, but put Olivia's. Olivia's.
Olivia.
She's got that. Olivia, I love it. I don't know if that is. I don't know if that is for Evan or if that is a Carolina. What is it? The Carolina Hurricanes. What is that, Mon? What's her?
Yeah, it's the Carolina Hurricanes. They're out.
So I think maybe it's a little bit of that spilling into poor Evan McPherson getting the hate from Olivia.
Did you see I got signed by the Bengals guys? Did you see that?
Yes, I did. No. That's phenomenal. I'm not sure what you're going to do for them, but
why don't you send that picture to me, Mon, real quick? We'll throw it up on the screen.
I do love. Listen, I do love the. It looks like maybe a leather helmet because there's no face mask. So it could be maybe an old picture of Mon in his football days. I'm not sure. With the
yeah, it was a little glitched by AI, but it is what it is.
Back before, well, at least you have the right number of fingers. AI usually gets that wrong.
Yeah.
That was back before Paul Brown invented the face mask, the proper face mask, right?
No, there's no chin strap. Draft guy Jared goes,
strap.
"Hey man, I recommend a chin strap."
There we go.
There it is. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at that.
That is. Look at that. No face mask. There's some kind of a thing there. I don't know if that's a bar, but
could pick better than McPherson. Thanks, St. Michael. Hey guys, take that down. I don't want my wife jealous because that's going to create a lot of fans.
Look at the ball. Doesn't even say Wilson. It says Wilbaum or something. Will Brown.
Why did you not at least take your glasses off? You know what that looks like? It looks like did you guys ever see that? What's that movie where the receiver kid he never gets a ball thrown to him? That's what Mon looks like. I can't think of that movie. What was that movie called? Where it's like, Necessary Roughness. Necessary Roughness, number 88. Remember, he was a kid. He played quarterback. What was that? The Texas Armadillos or something.
Yeah.
Mon is number 88.
Kathy Ireland was the kicker. Kathy Ireland was the kicker. Remember that?
Yes, Kathy Ireland was in that. Yes.
Yeah.
Mon is the old school holder that never gets to throw the ball, but has that trick play in there, and he's really ready to throw it.
He's the trick play guy.
We'll stop. Hold on. We'll stop hating on Mon. St. Michael has looks like Ken Anderson, so we'll leave you with a little bit of love here, Mon.
St. Michael.
Shout out to Ken
the
Anderson stash.
Hey,
I gotta get.
Wait. The best part of that movie, Necessary Roughness, is when they're in the gym. Remember, they have open tryouts because they can't have anybody on scholarship. And the guy that we're talking about, the one with the glasses, the quarterback guy remember he's throwing to the receivers in the gym, and he's like hitting off the backboard. He can't even come close to receivers. And the one coach looks at the other coach and goes, "Man, this guy sucks at two sports."
All right, I gotta go, guys. I appreciate everybody. Everybody.
Good luck to Edmonton.
All right, hey,
we're gonna
Bengals Pulse fans. We appreciate you. I got the best 53-man roster, Mon.
Okay. Go Oilers.
Okay, see you guys.
All right, buddy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I know Mon says he has the best 53, but it was pretty much the exact same thing. So we'll
it's pretty chalk this year, which is kind of scary. I do know last year we kept all 10 rookies and 2 UDFAs, so I would still watch out for that, especially with Al Golden and his penchant for younger athletes. So I'm looking forward to it. But you got anything else before we get out of here? Any other final thoughts?
No, not at all. I think, somebody was asking me today about Trey Henderson. Listen, I don't think anybody needs to be sitting around waiting to see what happens with Trey Hendrickson. This is something that is going to probably spill over into the rest of the summer. I don't want to see that happen, but it looks like that's what's going to happen. And I don't know. We'll see. It's sad. It's a sad situation. It's not something that the Bengals want lingering over their head before the season kicks off. We've had issues with that in the past, but for the Bengals to make this serious run, they got to have Trey Hendrickson. They do.
Yeah.
They have to have Trey Hendrickson because there's nobody else on that edge room that brings that type of production, and the Bengals have to have him on this roster.
Yeah, even if he's 60% of what he was last year, he's still better than every other defensive end in the league stat wise. So, it's hard to debate, hard to say that the Bengals have a lot of leverage other than having him under contract. So,
I don't think he
well,
does it. Listen, I don't think Allen says Trey's not going to play. Listen, Trey is not going to turn down $18-19 million. That's not happening. He will play, but it's going to be ugly if they don't get something done. But there's no way Trey Hendrickson is not playing. He's 31. He's not gonna not play and then try to go into free agency at 32 years old. There's no way that's happening. He's playing, but it's going to be ugly. You're muted. You're muted, Eric.
sorry about that. Yeah, he is a man of conviction, but he has talked a lot about how he wants to do what's best for his family and secure his family's future. It's really hard to do that walking away from $16 million, but
Yeah.
doesn't mean he can't sit out a few games. If he sits out the first 3 games and they finally throw 30 million at him, he's still going to get that for the year, even if he sits out 3 games. So we'll see. It's kind of in his court, but hopefully the Bengals are flexible. They've never, go talk, get in a room, do something. Don't just do this he said, she said, back and forth. Just
I
get in a
agree.
room,
I agree.
figure
It's
it out. Listen,
they're
we'll,
playing
we'll
telephone. It's like they're
yeah,
playing telephone. It's like, come on, man. Let's put our big boy and big girl pants on here, and
yeah,
let's get this done, because you got, again, right now you have got a football team that is bought in. Obviously, Jermaine Pratt, we're not counting him because he's probably not going to be on this roster very much longer. Shamar Stewart, he's there. He's just not participating. But you got a team that's pretty much bought in right now. I mean, everybody's pretty much at OTA. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So, let's get this thing done. There's a lot of guys right now, by the way, that are elite level players in this league that are not participating in OTAs. It's not just Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals. There's a lot of that going around. TJ Watt, the running back from Buffalo. We talked about him a little bit. What's his name? James.
James Cook.
James Cook. There is a lot of guys. I think McLaurin, from the receiver from the Redskins, right? Or they're not Redskins, whatever they're called, Commanders. He's not participating. There's a lot of players out there right now that are not participating in OTAs, but they obviously don't get the same pub that the Bengals do. But get this thing done, guys. Let's get this done.
Yeah.
Let's go into a week one where there's nothing hanging over anybody's head.
Yeah, we just need, when you've got older kids that are fighting or kids that are fighting, you take that 3 extra large, 3XL t-shirt, make them both get inside of it, and they're stuck together until they figure it out. Katie, Trey, let's do something like that, handcuff them together, something, figure this out. It's only going to benefit the Bengals. I know Mon kind of crashed out earlier in our group chat because it's just going to be a distraction. And this is the one year where we can't deal with any more distractions. We gotta insert all these new defensive schemes. We gotta insert offensive line schemes. We got so many new coaches. We have to be focused. We can't be distracted. And if Trey hangs over us until September, it's going to be another distraction. We might be, showing up to week one not knowing if Trey's going to play. And yes, he's a beast. Yes, he can go out there and just dominate because that's kind of what he does at his position. But for the rest of the team, it could be a distraction, and we don't really want that. So
Agreed.
just get this done. With that, Jake, take us out of here.
All right, guys. That is another edition of the Bengals Pulse. As always, guys, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the awesome podcast platforms, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. As always, guys, if you like this podcast, make sure you give us that 5-star review. We'd very much appreciate that. Follow Mon on Twitter at @TheFireMon. Follow me on Twitter at CoachJakeOwens9. Follow Eric on Twitter at eFlash with 2 H's 88. Follow the Cincinnati Podcast Network on Twitter at Cincinnati Pod, and follow us on Twitter, guys. Please, please, please follow the Bengals Pulse on Twitter at the Bengals Pulse. The same on Instagram without the at the Bengals Pulse. Make sure you follow us, guys. We very much appreciate that. And as always, check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Cincinnati Podcast Network. He is Eric. Our guy Mon is sitting in front of the TV right now watching his Edmonton Oilers trying to close their series out. Who they play in Dallas, right? Dallas Stars, I think.
I guess. Yeah.
Who knows?
What's the puck? I don't know.
I'm Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We love you. We appreciate you. Hoo day. We'll see you next week, guys.